Okay, let's unpack this.
Let's do it.
When you think about America's most haunted places, Ohio.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't always jump to the front of the line, does it?
No, it really doesn't. It's kind of sandwiched, between the East Coast history and the Southern Gothic stuff.
Right. But our sources, paranormal experts, local news archives, historians, they paint a really different picture. It seems the Buckeye State has this incredibly dense and diverse catalog of hauntings.
It's actually kind of staggering when you dig into it. We've sifted through a lot of material,
Yeah.
and the sheer volume of documented activity, it's impressive.
So our mission today basically is to figure out why. Why Ohio?
Yeah.
What is it about its history, the prisons, the asylums, the, crimes of passion that makes its spectral energy so potent, so widespread?
Exactly. And it's not just about ghost stories either.
No, there's this cultural ripple effect, right?
Yeah.
Does this dark history just stay in the past, or does it, feed into something modern?
It absolutely feeds into something huge. Get this. Ohio actually leads the entire U.S. in the number of commercial haunted houses.
Wow, really leads.
Leads 144 registered attractions. That's more than anywhere else.
That's wild.
It is. And that doesn't just happen by accident. It points to this strong Midwest Halloween culture, as some call it. But it's fueled, really deeply fueled, by the state's real, often chilling local history.
Huh. So the state's, I guess, historical pain has become a kind of modern commodity.
In a big way. Yeah.
Okay, so let's start right there, at the source of some of that pain. These huge, imposing buildings designed to hold people. Places where suffering just sort of soaked into the walls for decades. Institutional scars.
Absolutely. A prime example has to be the Ohio State Reformatory in Mansfield.
Ah, yes. Shawshank.
Famous from the Shawshank Redemption, yeah. But it's real history. It operated until 1990, and it was shut down specifically because the conditions were just notoriously inhumane. Overcrowding was rampant.
Okay, so you have that level of intense collective misery. How does that actually, manifest? What do people experience there?
Well, that kind of institutional suffering seems to create this really aggressive, almost intelligent energy. We're talking over 200 documented deaths inside those walls.
200.
Yeah, including 2 guards who were killed. So visitors, investigators.
Yeah.
They report things like doors slamming shut on their own, really sudden drastic cold spots, and even feeling physically pushed by something unseen.
Pushed. Okay, that's intense.
It is. And there's this one specific recurring report of a shadow person, like a dark, menacing shape seen in a former administrative office up on the 3rd floor. The feeling there is apparently just palpable anger. Active anger.
Right, so that's the trauma of confinement showing up as aggression. What about places designed to treat the mind, like the Ridges? That was the Athens Lunatic Asylum, wasn't it?
It was. Operated for over 100 years, from 1874 right up to 1993. And yeah, it was known for some pretty controversial stuff, lobotomies, electroshock therapy.
Oh, wow.
What's really interesting now is that parts of the complex are actually used by Ohio University.
So students are walking halls where this stuff happened.
Pretty much. And the sources suggest the type of suffering there, psychological, maybe more experimental, people being forgotten. It creates a different kind of haunting.
Yeah.
Less aggressive, maybe, more sorrowful.
And there's that one incredibly chilling story, the defining one, Margaret Schilling.
Ah, yes. Margaret Schilling, she was a patient. Went missing in 1978. It took them 42 days to find her body.
42 days. Where was she?
Trapped in an abandoned section of the hospital. She didn't leave the whole time. And the decomposition. It left this permanent dark stain on the floor where she was found.
Oh, my God.
And they say you can still see that stain today. It's actually inside a building that's now the Kennedy Museum of Art.
That's profoundly disturbing. So you have the reformatory with its angry, maybe interactive spirits, and then the Ridges with this visible residual scar, like the trauma itself imprinted on the place.
Exactly. It's a good distinction. Sometimes the energy seems intelligent, like the prisoners or guards. Other times it's residual, like an echo, just the sorrow or the event replaying the stain, maybe disembodied screams people report hearing in those old halls.
Okay. This pattern, this institutional pain turning into local legend, it brings us to the Licking County Historic Jail, opened 1889.
Right. And we know for sure at least 22 people died there, 19 inmates, but also 3 sheriffs.
3 sheriffs inside the jail.
Yeah, details are a bit sparse on the specifics, but it points to a dangerous environment.
And this is where the history and the commercial side really collide, isn't it?
It is. Visitors there report all the classic signs, disembodied voices, cell doors slamming shut, phantom footsteps, even the sound of keys jingling.
Creepy.
Definitely. And the site now, It hosts the Jail of Terror haunted attraction during the Halloween season. They lean right into that verified history. The pain becomes the product.
Okay, let's pivot a bit from those, cold, stark institutions to maybe grander, more public spaces. Theaters, mansions,
Yeah.
places where high society or performance might have a dark underside.
Good transition. And you have to start with the Cincinnati Music Hall. It's this stunning, magnificent building architecturally.
Beautiful place.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But its foundations, literally,
Yeah.
the land it's built on. It was previously the site of Ohio's first insane asylum.
Get out. Really?
Yep. And the grounds around it were used to bury the city's homeless and indigent population. A potter's field, essentially.
So they built this grand hall for music and art right on top of an asylum and a mass grave for the forgotten poor.
That's the history. And it seems the spirits haven't forgotten. Human remains were unearthed during the original construction back in 1876.
Okay, maybe unavoidable then.
But then again during major renovations in 1969, and again in 2016.
Wow, so it keeps happening.
It does. And in 2016, a musician with the Cincinnati Symphony Orchestra actually took photos during the work, and he believed he captured images of apparitions, like the spirits were actively being disturbed by digging up their resting place yet again.
That sends chills down your spine. Okay, moving north a bit. Akron Civic Theater. It's got that amazing ceiling, right? Looks like a night sky.
That's the one. Designed by John Eberson, really striking. And it has its own resident ghosts.
Okay, who haunts the starry sky?
Well, the main one is supposedly Fred the janitor. Died during his shift.
Ah, the loyal employee ghost.
Classic trope, right? But the legend says Fred is still on duty. Apparently he gets annoyed and chases people out if they make a mess in the restrooms.
Ah, a tidy ghost. I like it.
Yeah, it's a bit more mundane than a prison haunting, maybe. But it shows that personal connection, that routine carrying over. There are other reports, too. A well-dressed man and a girl who supposedly drowned herself in the nearby canal.
Okay. Now let's talk about Franklin Castle in Cleveland. This one feels different. Not institutional, not really public, more like concentrated private tragedy, right? Almost like a family curse.
That's a perfect way to put it. Built in 1881 by Hannes Tiedemann. And the family's history in that house is just devastating.
Well, I have to.
Hans and his wife Louise lost 4 of their children while living there, young children. Then Hannah's mother died in the house, and then Louise herself died there too, all within a relatively short span.
Oh, that's just an unbearable amount of grief in one place.
Exactly, and that sorrowful energy seems to have lingered. By the 1960s, new owners and visitors were reporting all sorts of things, hearing unseen babies crying,
Oh, no.
mysterious footsteps when no one was there, and seeing a female apparition often thought to be Louise.
Just pure sadness, it sounds like.
Mostly. But the stories around Franklin Castle also got darker, more violent over time. Tales started circulating about an axe murder victim haunting one of the tower rooms.
Okay, now we're escalating.
And this really disturbing story about a young girl named Karen, supposedly hanged in the house, some versions say, by her own father. So, Franklin Castle kind of mixes that profound personal grief with alleged violent crime. It's a potent combination.
Yeah, it sounds like it. So if institutional pain creates anger, maybe intense personal tragedy creates these layers of sorrow, but also potentially more violent hauntings, too.
It seems that way sometimes. The energy feels different, more focused, perhaps.
Okay, let's step outside now, away from the big buildings. How does this kind of intense personal tragedy attach itself to, say, outdoor spots or smaller places? Let's start with the Spring House gazebo in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Eden Park, right? Beautiful spot.
Gorgeous setting, but with a really ugly history. Back in 1927, this picturesque gazebo was the scene of a pretty notorious murder.
What happened there?
A famous or infamous bootlegger named George Remus shot and killed his estranged wife, Imogene, right there in the gazebo.
Oh, wow.
It was literally the day their divorce was supposed to be finalized, a crime of passion fueled by betrayal and rage.
And does Imogene linger?
Reportedly, yes. People claim to see her apparition, often described as dressed all in black, still lingering in or near the gazebo where she died. A single violent moment seems to have anchored her spirit there.
A snapshot of tragedy. It seems like nature itself can hold on to these things in Ohio, too. Hocking Hill State Park comes up a lot.
It does. It's not just buildings. Hocking Hills has multiple outdoor hauntings. Old Man's Cave, for instance.
What's the story there?
It's said to be haunted by a man named Richard Rowe. He apparently died there from an accidental gunshot wound back in the day.
Accident?
Yeah, like a hunting accident or mishandling a firearm. The stories vary. But people report seeing him, often walking with his 2 hound dogs. A classic residual haunting, it seems, linked to that sudden tragic death.
An ash cave. There's a figure there too, right?
The Pale Lady, or sometimes the White Lady. She's described as a barefoot woman, sometimes in a flowery dress, who just quietly follows hikers on the trails. Much less dramatic, maybe older energy. Very eerie, though.
Yeah, quiet can be creepier sometimes. Okay, contrast that with haunted hospitality. Writer's Inn in Painesville. That place is old.
Very old. Dates back to 1812. There's a stagecoach stop, even reportedly a station on the Underground Railroad. So you have layers of history, stress, and lots of people passing through.
Makes sense. I might pick something up. Who's the main ghost?
That would be Suzanne. She was the wife of one of the owners, apparently died quite young, not long after they were married.
Oh, sad. What does she do?
This is the charming part, in a spooky way. People report seeing her letting guests into the inn, especially if the current owners aren't immediately available. She's often seen wearing her nightgown.
The ghost hostess. Still doing her duties.
Seems like it, taking hospitality into the afterlife.
Okay, one more outdoor location, but this
Right.
one's heavy. Camp Chase Cemetery.
Yes. Camp Chase. It's the final resting place for about 2,600 Confederate soldiers who died in the prison camp there.
That's a lot of loss in one place. Any specific activity?
Well, back in 2014, a group of paranormal investigators claimed they captured photographic proof of a soldier's apparition there. Whether you believe the photo or not, it keeps the stories alive.
Right.
And there's also the recurring figure known as the Lady in Gray. She's often seen grieving near one specific grave, that of a soldier named Benjamin Allen. Just profound collective wartime sorrow manifesting.
Okay. So we've got prisons, asylums, grand halls, theaters, castles, gazebos, caves, inns, cemeteries. It's a lot.
It really is.
And this is where it gets really interesting, right? Connecting all this intense, often verified historical suffering back to that statistic you mentioned earlier, Ohio being the leader in commercial haunted attractions.
Exactly. It's this incredible feedback loop. You have this deep, dark history, and then you have this thriving commercial horror industry. 144 attractions, remember?
Yeah.
And the most successful ones, they don't just invent generic scares. They tap directly into the local legends, often the real-life trauma. That gives them a layer of, well, authenticity and makes them genuinely scarier.
The perfect example has to be the Dent Schoolhouse in Cincinnati. That's not just a made-up spooky school, is it?
Not at all. Its theme, its whole backstory, is rooted in a supposedly real tragedy from the 1950s.
What was the story?
The legend goes that several missing children from the area were eventually found, sealed in barrels in the school janitor's basement.
Oh, that's horrifying.
It is. And the haunted attraction leans right into it. They openly market the idea that real ghosts might be part of the experience, including Charlie the janitor and maybe even his victims.
So they're literally selling access to this alleged site of horrific crimes, blending entertainment with real local darkness.
Precisely. And that terrifying credibility that, based on a true story angle, even if embellished, is why it consistently ranks as one of the top commercial haunts in the country. People are drawn to that edge of reality.
They're selling Cincinnati's trauma back to itself and to visitors.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And the appetite for this stuff, it seems almost limitless. You see it in the longevity of places like the Haunted Schoolhouse and Laboratory in Akron, running for over 50 seasons.
Wow.
And then you get the extreme end of the spectrum, like the Haunted Hoochie at Dead Acres in Pataskala. It bills itself as the world's most extreme haunted house. I reckon really graphic, violent horror. It shows how far the market will push, starting from that foundation of genuine Ohio despair.
Okay, so let's try to synthesize this. What does it all mean? When we put all these pieces together, Ohio's paranormal reputation seems driven by, what, two main things?
I think so. First, you have that intense institutional cruelty. The prisons, the asylums, that seems to generate these really aggressive, often group hauntings, or those deep residual scars like the stain at the ridges.
Okay, institutional trauma. What's the second driver?
It seems to be the concentrated, often violent, private tragedies, the crimes of passion, like at the gazebo, or that overwhelming family grief and alleged violence at Franklin Castle. These create highly focused, maybe more individual spirits, or those repeating loops of sorrow or action.
And it's the intensity of both types that seems key here.
Absolutely. The spirits in these Ohio stories aren't usually just, polite background figures. They're often described as intensely active, pushing people, slamming doors, making their presence undeniably known. Right. And that potent energy fuels both the historical interest and this huge modern entertainment industry.
Right. Which brings us to a final thought, something for you, the listener, to chew on. If Ohio, the state with arguably some of the most intense historic hauntings, also leads the nation in commercial haunted attractions, does that business of fear, in a weird way, actually help preserve these tragic local histories? Does it keep the stories of people like Margaret Schilling or the alleged victims at Dent Schoolhouse from being completely forgotten, even if then through horror entertainment?
It's a really interesting question. Does monetization somehow equal memorialization? Something to think about.